What Halo game have you played the most?
Halo 3 by a long shot.
Do you care more about the competitive scene or the casual scene of Halo?
Competitive scene, easy. Easy answer, competitive scene.
What Halo game do you enjoy the most?
Okay, so that's a weird one. So I enjoy Halo 3 the most. Maybe biased because I started on Halo 3. Started competitively on Halo 3. Um, but I did play Halo 1 and 2 pre getting Xbox Live and stuff. But yeah, Halo 3 would be my answer, I think, still.
Okay. Not including your most played game, what game do you wish you played the most? Being Halo.
Yeah. That's a I I would still if it was between like Halo 1 and 3, like Halo 1, 2 or 3, I would still probably play Halo 3. If it was like if they're all peaking at the same time, I'd still go to Halo 3, I think.
But not
Um
including your most played game.
oh, not including the Halo 2. Easy.
Okay. What Halo game do you think is best supported for 2 vs 2?
Ooh. Halo 1 actually.
Okay. What non Halo game do you think is best supported for 2 vs 2?
Um that's a good question. Not too many. I would have to go with some other arena shooter game, but I'm not crazy well versed in things like Quake and stuff. Um, I don't think there's a spot for 2v2s in like Call of Duty or Counter Strike. Uh, I don't really have a super concrete answer for this. I'm not an answer that I'm confident in for that.
Okay. What Halo game do you think is best supported for 4 vs 4?
I think Halo 2 and 3 are equally supported in 4v4 format.
What non Halo game do you think is best supported for 4 vs 4?
So um, I think you could get away with CS 44. I think fives is better, but you could do it. I think the COD 44 format is good. Um, if we're talking just FPSs, I assume.
Um, yes.
Okay.
Arenas or tac shooters, but probably
Yeah,
more towards arenas.
yeah. I think 4v4 is my take on that is that 4v4 is kind of the optimal number for me in terms of like team sizes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like things like Overwatch could do 4v4 and it'd be fine. There's 5 and 6 and stuff, but I prefer 4v4, and I just think any like two spawn respawn arena shooter can do a 4v4 well.
Okay. Should Halo continue with 4 vs 4 or experiment with 5 vs 5 or more?
I think it should stay as a 4v4 game personally. That's going off of their track record of how they're designing maps, how big the maps are, the game types, all that stuff. I feel like it works well. You can there's like big team battle and stuff, but that plays out so much different. I know it's more casual, but it just changes the whole dynamic of the game. So I would keep that number at 4.
Okay. This one's kind of long, so
Mhm.
it's probably be a long question. What is one thing that you wish you could take from Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, Reach, and 5? One per game.
So one good trait that would go into like an ultimate Halo type of thing.
Yep, Ultimate Halo.
Um, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so I'm almost gonna contradict myself. I feel like here, but I'm gonna try not to. We'll go in just in order. Halo One, Halo One and Two, kind of both together had some button glitches and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Backpack reload, double shot, BXB. I loved those things. I thought they were a cool addition to the game. I would love to see both of those in a game again. Halo 3 had, in my opinion, by far the best UI, the best character models, the best maps, like the kind of the perfect graphics for Halo.
And
Um,
just to interrupt you for a second, you do mean OG Halo 3, right? Like
yes,
not MCC, correct?
yes.
Okay.
So everything I talk about would be OG. MCC is its
Okay.
own its own critter. Um, I thought that Halo 3 had the best 4v4 maps. If we're getting to the nitty gritty, I guess that'd be my thing. Would be UI and maps. From Halo 3, that's kind of 2 for 1. But Halo 4, I barely remember playing. The BR was pretty good in that game. I remember it shot solid, but I don't remember if it was hit scan and had a random bullet at the end.
Statistically, it was the best BR.
Yeah, I remember that feeling pretty good. Halo 5 also had good hit scan. I mean, those things are just like better networking.
True.
But I Halo 5 and 4 were not really my thing. I think Reach didn't bring anything that I would even like. I don't think any of those games brought anything besides better netcode that I would seek out for a perfect Halo.
Okay. This one's we've talked about this privately. What is your opinion of the Halo 1 pistol?
Okay, so I played Halo 1 original like with my buddies. Offline before.
By Halo 1 pistol, yeah. I do mean the multiplayer pistol, not the campaign one.
Yeah, so it's my most experience with Halo 1. This is like I'm gonna get like lashings for this, but is with MCC Halo 1. Specifically the PC release actually, and that shit is like you shouldn't hold it. Shouldn't. It's too accurate in that because you don't have to tap it. You can just hold it down. I do see there being, old Halo 1, original Halo 1, you tap it and there's control to it. You have to pace your shots. It's a dead accurate pistol if you do that, but there's like this, these little like intricate things you need to do and be good at to be good with it. Where, the only thing I've experienced is I'm holding down mouse button 1 and it's just instant headshot, 3-shot every time. So I don't have a problem with it if there's a skill gap, right? That's kind of my whole take on just hit scan in general.
Okay.
Skill gap makes sense for that stuff, but yeah, if you're just holding down the button, it's just kind of fucked.
Okay. What is your opinion of the Halo 2 BR?
I think the Halo 2 BR is a fantastic weapon. There are really cool ways to outplay that BR with double shot with BXB, right? Like it's a hit scan perfect weapon. But there's like the game had these counters to it, if you will, that made it work. Where if you put the Halo 2 BR in Halo 3, it's gonna be broken. You know what I mean? It's because you're missing double shot, you're missing BXB. There's no way to outplay that.
Sure.
At least in my opinion. So I love it. Halo 2 BR is a great weapon.
Okay. What is your opinion of the Halo 3 BR?
Controversial. I take no problems with it. I know it's projectile, which has never bothered me. Like I said, I did start like really playing Halo during Halo 3, so this could be a biased opinion, but it didn't bother me that you had to lead your shots, that it was hit scan. The third random bullet in the burst didn't rustle my jimmies or anything. Playing it on LAN, it's really not that bad. It made for some dynamic fights and some like really interesting main stage moments type of thing. That I think just it was a great spectator game because of how the Halo 3 BR worked.
Okay. Do you believe that the first 3 Halo scenes, meaning like competitive scenes, would have been different if PC was more involved?
It might have been worse. Just because early 2000s. So Halo 1's in 01, and you got 04 and then 07. Like I think that Halo 3 needed to be on the Xbox 360 to do what it did. Not a lot of people were PC gaming back then. Not even I really didn't remember even getting into it until 2010, 2011. So
well, I mean, like, do you think if it was released on both platforms is what I'm saying, like not specifically only PC, but both platforms?
Yeah, I think that Halo 1 had a pretty good PC scene,
sure,
if I recall correctly, and so did Halo 2, but they were really niche and small.
Yeah.
So if those say anything about Halo on PC, it wouldn't have had growth, but it would have they could have garnered a scene. But I don't think it would have taken the trajectory of a game like Counter-Strike or anything. No, I think that it being on console,
with Halo 3 being on PC.
Yeah, I think like I said, just the years. I think that it wouldn't. I don't think the game would have. They wouldn't have shaped the game to be a PC game. I think it would have always, even if it was released on both, it would have always been like with intent for it to be on Xbox, like an
Okay.
Xbox game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't think it would have. I think it would have played out pretty similar.
Okay. Now we've talked about this a lot. Um, what is your opinion on aim assist in games like Halo or Overwatch?
Um, you're talking about on PC, yeah,
You
or just
you
in
could break
general.
it down with console and then PC and then console versus PC, however you want to
Yeah,
do it.
I mean, this is the hot topic of 2020, right? It obviously wasn't an issue when everybody was using sticks and everybody was playing on an Xbox. There is a sluggish input. There is it's just it's difficult to be dead accurate on the sticks. So there's compensation for it, but everybody had the compensation and it was fine. It wasn't an issue. Nobody complained about it ever. Now, if you're talking about it on PC, um, specifically in Halo, I get it. Really, my wish for Halo is that it becomes a thriving community again, a game that I can play, 8 to 10 hours a day again and love and get better at and grind. And I think that the way to do that is to get a big community and include everybody. And it's like I said, it's an Xbox game. It's a game that started on Xbox. Xbox gamers love it. Controllers need to be there because those people have been using it on Halo for 20 years. Um, but I do not think that it needs to be tweaked. They need to do something and figure it out where it's not it's so strong. It shouldn't be a 50-50. I mean, mouse and keyboard players notoriously or people don't like it when you're using a Zim on the Xbox, right?
True.
Because you get the aim assist and you get all these nasty shots and your tracking's better and stuff. But now it's kind of the tables have turned where it's people are so there's some battles you can't win. Um, in Halo games, especially with somebody that has aim assist, even if you're on a mouse keyboard, and it's yeah. I mean, you if you're gonna grow Halo, you need to cater to both controller players and PC players. And in my opinion, it's in 2020, the PC scene is the one that's gonna carry it and make it a game again. And you know, if they removed aim assist, I wouldn't be mad. If they tweaked it and turned it way down, I think that's kind of the answer to make it doable but not broken.
Uh-huh.
But if that isn't doable, if that's something that you for some reason can't fix, it should be removed because if everybody cares about Halo and wants Halo to be good, then it needs to cater to the PC scene that has been exploding and where the heart of all esports is now. That's just kind of the fact of it, in my opinion. Nobody's really doing console shit that matters besides fighting games. That
True.
on a level like CS or Overwatch and stuff. There's a
True.
reason the Overwatch league isn't an Xbox dominated league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like PC gaming is the future, and it is now. And a lot of us are PC gamers that used to love and play Halo, and that's where I'd like to see the focus put on is mouse and keyboard.
Okay. So this actually isn't in my list of questions, but I think it kind of fits well here. Um, what do you think, or do you think that with Infinite coming out, should it be designed for console or designed for PC? Or
It should.
do you think it's possible to do both?
I mean, sure, it's possible. It's look at a game like Fortnite. They did it. That you can play that shit on your smart fridge. Like it, you can do it, but where are people playing Fortnite that people are watching on streams and that are going to tournaments? You know what I mean? So it could be designed for both, but it should be focused towards PCs, in my opinion, so towards PC players.
Because
You know, I
there is an argument with Fortnite and people like Tifu and Myth and all of them have complained about aim assist and how when they're taking super long range fights and things like that, that it actually makes fighting controller players harder than mouse and keyboard players because it just locks on at whatever distance. So it does have an impact in Fortnite apparently. I don't really
yeah,
know what that extent is because I don't play Fortnite, but it
right,
has
right.
been brought up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Ninja tweeted about this too. Is he's just pretty much said it's like an aim hack. Like it, there's not a place for it. Like I said, it needs to be like super balanced. It needs to be so micro of an aim assist that it barely helps, but the skill still needs to be in aiming, right? Like in my opinion, if two people are in a duel in a face off, you're in the top mid of lockdown, right? And
Hmm.
somebody throws a nade in the air and you both start shooting at the same time. The person that wins that fight should just have better aim. That's the end of the story,
I
right?
agree.
Now, if that person decides they want to do that on a controller, that's fine. I do understand the problem with it being that if there's zero aim assist, the controller player is going to lose 9 out of 10 times. But right now, it's like the controller player is winning 7 out of 10 times. You know what I mean? Like it's not balanced. It's not a
Hmm.
50-50 or a 40, 60. It's skewed the other way. It needs to be corrected or removed. And like I said, I mean, if you're deciding to use a controller, that is totally on you, and I get it. And we all love and played Halo on controllers. But again, where gaming is going and where the money is and where tournaments are and where the communities are and where the masses are is mouse and keyboard on PCs. So that's kind of my big thing. Like I said, I want Halo to grow, and it's not going to grow. If it was going to grow on Xbox, it would have grown on Xbox. We've been playing all the old games again. We've had new games, and it has not grown on Xbox. And that's kind of my answer. Is it needs to be PC focused.
Okay. This one you kind of covered on a little bit, but I guess you
Mhm.
could give your answer again.
Yeah,
Do you think it's possible to have common ground with controller players versus mouse and keyboard players? If so, how do you balance it realistically?
yeah. I mean, realistically, you're never gonna balance it to the point where there's never gonna be a fix where mouse and keyboard players aren't bitching at controller players and vice versa. Um, it's like it just needs to be tweaked and like turned way down or just turned off. And then if you want to use the sticks, man, like power to you, I get it. But that's your choice. I mean, if because like I said, I think it needs to be PC oriented so that would you know, in my opinion, if it's a PC oriented game, you would learn it on that on those peripherals.
Okay.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, with PC being the focus of most top tier FPS games, do you see that posing a problem for future events?
For Halo,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you could keep playing, you could keep running Halo tournaments on Xbox, and you could keep hitting maybe 10,000, 20,000 viewers on Twitch, but that's you're not growing the community then. Halo just needs to be it needs to peak like it did again. It needs to be and like I sound like a broken record, man, but like PC is where that is. That's where all these games are, finding success and finding communities and dedicated players and having 600,000 people at the same time playing that game.
Okay.
Um,
Let me veer off track. Why do you think that is?
Good question. I think it's just I mean, this is like I'm not trying to sound like some elitist here or anything, but I think that mouse and keyboard is just a better experience as a player and as a spectator. It's a little, it's faster paced. It's like, it's like watching like like those Call of Duty montages where people are like flicking around and doing shit. It's like visually appealing. That's just how like mouse and keyboard plays a lot of the time. So it's like a better spectator thing. It's a better player thing because you have control. You feel like you you feel like damn, I lost that fight and that was on me. I fucked up. I wasn't aiming right. You know. And
Yeah.
like that's a good feeling. It's not like this like on the sticks where there's slow turn and there's aim assist and like you're not really fully in control over your reticle and where you're aiming. So I think that PC just feels better and it's better to watch. You're just like, damn, that guy hit a nasty shot, and it's not like some slow turn auto aim headshot. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, that was cool, I guess. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, yeah, it's just mouse and keyboard just feels nice.
Okay. This on the experimental side of things, are there any maps you would like to see in a Halo game that have never been in a Halo game? You could pick from any game.
Ooh, ooh,
Like it, obviously,
yeah, yeah.
you and I are both Tony Hawk players. Would you like to see a Tony Hawk map in there, or like,
Really? Yeah. I mean, my criteria for a good Halo, like 4v4 level, is just something. I mean, and Halo does it really well. Is like a mirror level. It's the
like
same on both sides.
symmetrical?
Symmetrical, yeah. It. Nobody has an advantage. Um, there's probably a couple COD maps like that. Nah, not really. Actually, those are all Pretty asymmetrical. Um,
Well, you could argue a map like Backlot on COD
yeah,
4.
but yeah.
It was
I mean, like a
wasn't completely symmetrical, but it was damn close.
um. I'm trying to think of just like other shooters I played that. Uh, yeah, that's a tough one. Let me think. Let me pull up my
Well, okay, so
mind
do you
here.
remember Raid from I think it was Black Ops 1? The map
Yeah,
Raid, it was in
yeah,
Blackout.
yeah.
Um I personally, this obviously this isn't about me, but I think a map like that could have worked well on Halo.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that you could do something like even like Summoner's Rift or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could do that kind of shit, like a 3 lane with
Mhm.
like a jungle. You can like cut between stuff. Like you could do that on Halo. Halo caters really well, like I said, to a symmetrical mirrored map. That as long as nobody has an advantage, um, like with the weapons and stuff. And you can say Halo 1 and stuff, but Halo 1 has such a different spawn system and the way that game worked. But if we're talking like a Halo 2 or 3 map, yeah. But Halo, I mean, it's weird because Halo like Lockdown is fucking awesome, and that's not a symmetrical map. It just would depend on where power weapons are and shit like that. That's really like what makes Halo Halo.
Okay. With Infinite coming, what are 3 areas that you think 343 needs to focus on the most to be successful?
They need to reel back to the Halo roots is the biggest one. Um,
And what do you
look
mean
at
by
one,
that?
look at 1, 2, and 3. Look at how simple and just clean and pure those games were, and go back to that. We don't want to see sprint. We don't want to see abilities. We talking as I'm saying me. I'm sure there are people out there that do, but if you're looking for a classic Halo that people fell in love with, and you want to pull that back, yeah, man, just reel it back. Go back to the 1, 2, 3 experience. Um, they need to work on shot registration. They need to fix uh, all the mistakes with MCC. No ghost melees. No drop shots. No blood shots. Fix the networking, get that shit straightened out, and um, they need to do something. And I don't have an answer for this. But they need to do something innovative, just innovative enough to reel in players that are younger, that are starting to PC game. We're getting older, all of us older Halo players, and I'm young for a Halo player. Um, but what can you do to capture the youth, so to speak, without destroying the integrity of what Halo has been in the past?
Right.
Um, don't have an answer for that, but I think it's something that they should definitely focus on.
Okay.
Even if it's something as simple as microtransactions for skins. You know what I mean? Like whatever people are fucking
Mhm.
into that isn't going to ruin gameplay, or if it's something in the gameplay that enhances or whatever. Yeah, that's what they need to look at.
Okay. With Infinite coming, oh shit, sorry. Would you rather see Pistol Start or BR Start in Infinite?
BR start. I think that BR start in Halo 2 and 3 made it feel it's just more exhilarating for everybody. It was yeah, it was badass. I mean, Halo 1 pistol is pretty much like a BR. It's such a long range weapon and stuff,
Mhm.
but it was just something about the rifle and the way it looked, and it was just pretty epic
Right.
overall, so to speak.
If neither weapon were the starting weapon, what would you think would be a viable option in Infinite?
Um, Man, then you're stripping away some of the shit that just makes that game unique. But
True.
um, yeah, I mean, to me, Halo is just like a burst weapon. But you could do like something like kind of like the Guardian from Valorant, where it's like a 4 shot headshot, but it's a single shot weapon type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think that could work. Um, but then you're looking at like it's kind of like you're looking at the DMR and Reach, and
Yeah.
that just didn't feel quite like Halo to me at least. It like the noise was annoying, and like the way it looked and the way it shot, it just didn't feel like Halo. I think Halo needs a 3 round burst. It just some about that is just very Halo to me.
Okay. How important do you think good map design is in a video game?
It's an imperative to multiplayer success. I couldn't name you one map. I can barely name you maps from Reach. I actually don't know if I could name one off the top of my head right now. There's that like what the hell is that one called? It's like the midship kind of rip off thing. With
Yes,
the
and the
circle,
wrong
the
person.
rings. Yeah, it's so like that was an okay map. Um, Most of the Reach maps were remakes of old Halo maps that were good.
And just
It,
worst
you know what I
versions, it
mean?
felt like.
And worse versions of them, yeah. So it's huge. I mean, they're iconic. There are Halo 1, 2, and 3 maps that are like fucking iconic. Everybody knows them.
Zealot was the
Y-
that was
Yeah, yeah.
the one Halo 1 remake that you and I didn't like.
hmm Yeah, I
Um
mean, Haven from Halo 4 is the only map I can remember that was a decent map. Couldn't name you a Halo 5 map. Why? Because none of them were great. None of them felt nice. Talk about Guardian, right? Talk about Lockout. Talk about Beaver Creek. Like that shit people remember. You could say that, and you can walk the whole map backwards in your head just hearing the name because
well,
they're epic and legendary.
also to be fair to not make it sound like that I'm against remakes. I'm actually not against remakes at all. Um Halo 1 had Battle Creek, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Halo 2 had Beaver Creek. So it's the same
Mm-hmm.
map, just a little
Yep.
bit different design.
Yep.
And from the people that I've talked to, they don't mind the map on either game. So do you think it's possible in the future to bring back maps with very little change?
Yeah, I think that you should. I think you're gonna hit a nostalgia thing for a lot of players. If you brought like something like the pit to infinite, you know what I mean.
Right?
Um, and if they're good maps and they work in that kind of game, that's badass. Like I think that like the way that Halo Reach played, this is before the final settings, but you have like sprint and you have um, Bloom and all that shit, and it changed the way like the Pit remake. I mean, the Pit remake is rough because the angles are a lot different,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still the Pit, and it just changed the way that game was played. And if it's gonna play like a classic Halo, it's gonna the map's gonna work.
Okay.
Um, I mean, there's some anomalies in there, like Blackout did not play like Lockout. Really, I mean, it just wasn't that great of a remake.
True.
If they just ported it over and skinned it, it might have worked better. But it just I don't know like why that was different. You're working with a not hit scan BR. It's different,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I think there is room that you could do that. 100%.
Okay. If the mechanics of a game are perfect to you, but had the worst maps, how would that impact your opinion of that game?
So I'm playing like a perfect Halo, but the maps are all just garbage.
Yep.
It would suck. That would just yeah. I don't know. I don't. I would probably play it because I think that mechanics are the thing that is more important than maps. But it would be a drag for sure. I would just be kind of like, okay, I will buy DLC. Like, let's get some new maps out. I don't, you know what I mean? It would just, uh, it would suck. That would be a bummer.
Okay. What is something new, never that's never been in a Halo game? Would you like to see in Infinite?
Um, Interesting question. Uh,
Like it doesn't matter if it's been in other games, just not in a Halo game.
yeah. Uh, da- 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 I don't know, man. I am such a Halo fanboy that I think that like Halo 2 and 3 are both pretty damn near perfect games. So it's kind of like uh yeah, I mean there's too much movement for me to say a mechanic like Counter-Strike where you have to or Valorant now where you have to like stop moving.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like a bad thing for Halo. I think
Yeah, because you're talking about an
maybe
arena shooter versus attack shooter.
yeah, maybe something that would be kind of cool, but I don't know how it would actually like how good it would actually be.
Mm-hmm.
Would be something like a typical like a like a arena shooter like Quake or something where you could do like some movement stuff like that with like rock. I mean, you kind of can with rockets and stuff, but I'm talking like on a more drastic, not damage yourself level. Maybe something like that could be cool. But I think it would have to be limited, and it wouldn't. Halo's just such a weird mix of like arena shooter and like
Mm-hmm.
not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My answer actually would probably be, you don't need to add anything. I think you just need to perfect the things that were already awesome about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on Sprint?
I hate Sprint.
Do you
I'm
hate
not a
Sprint
fan of.
in all games, or do you hate it like only in Halo?
I hate it the most in Halo.
Why do
I'm
you hate
not
it the
really.
most in Halo?
Because Halo is people don't look at it as like a attack shooter, and it's not. But map positioning and awareness of like overextending and stuff is those are all like really important, or they were really important parts of Halo. I remember, when Reach first came out, it was this guy's look at this guy overextended, and you hit him with a sniper, and he's one shot, and he armor locks, or sprints. He just sprints. He just sprints away, right? And
Hmm.
he's fast, and you can't catch up with him, and that's it. And it's over, and his shields are back. And so this guy now gets a second chance, and your team loses out on a potential kill because of uh, this one new addition to the game, and it
Hmm.
just didn't feel like that. Like it just lowered the skill
You felt
of
like the meta was changed.
the meta was changed, and you could be more aggressive, and you can run away, and you
Hmm.
could overextend, and you'd be okay, and you
Mm.
could it just that didn't suit the competitive part of that. Like you
Hmm.
didn't get punished. There was no reason to not do it, and that if you're looking at a competitive game, that sucks.
What would you think of if you played Halo 3, but competitively the movement speed was what, 105, right?
110, I think.
110, 110. What would you think if the movement speed was increased in Halo 3 for the competitive scene? Like
So they
to say like 150.
Yeah, they. I don't think that then you're treading on like to me what makes Halo so special is that it is like or is like an arena shooter, sorry, but it doesn't have it's not quite as like insane feeling. You know what I mean? You're
Right.
not flying around the map and stuff. Like I think that they upped it to 110 to match Halo 2's because
Hmm.
Halo 2 had a good movement speed. It was you were quick and you could do these cool jumps and kind of and stuff, but yeah, I don't think faster is the answer necessarily.
But
Um,
would you argue that you think that the base game should be competitive, not needing custom settings?
um, yeah. Here's the thing that's interesting to me is like Halo 3 needed a lot of tweaks
Hmm.
in the settings and the maps to make it like a nice competitive game. And
Hmm.
Halo 3 casual, social, whatever, Team Slayer, whatever you want, right? It was good and fun. I played a lot of that too. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
Um, I just the way that the competitive game, like with the way they did that, was better. Halo 2 was very limited on the options you could do. Like the game's just older and there was less
Right.
shit. Um, so Halo 2, like out of the box, did feel pretty nice. What are you changing? Like human weapons and turn radar off type of thing. It's
Hmm.
not that different than the base game. And I do like that about Halo 2 because you can go into matchmaking and apart from a few small things, it's like, oh yeah, man, like I like this is sweet. So yeah, I would that is a nice that's a good thing. I think the game should come out of the box to be comp ready, but catered to a casual audience. Something like Counter Strike. I keep going back to that, but that's what they do.
Yeah, there's very few settings changed. I do know that
Yeah,
in CS, that in FPL leagues and things like that, the round lengths are actually shortened. Um, but it's only
yeah,
by like 10 seconds. It's nothing
yep.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think like the biggest thing, and this is we're going a little bit off topic here, but like just make the game feel good online and not like the joke is always or the shit talk is always that come do that on land, bro. Like you couldn't kill me on land, you
Yeah.
guys couldn't beat us on land, and that shouldn't be the case. I mean, it's gonna be always obviously, but kind of like that like that game. If you're playing with a good connection on like a 128 server, it feels nice. It probably doesn't feel that different on land, I would imagine. Where like Halo 3 is like it's a night and day difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the game is literally it changes how you like where you have to put your reticle
Yeah.
online, which is crazy to me.
Yeah. So with you saying that, would you argue that Infinite should be hit scan
Um,
with weapons
no,
like your starting weapon?
yeah, no. I so like I said, it's. I mean, we've come a long way since Halo 3. Right? It's been 13 years. I think that you could do projectile games now, and it's fine. I wouldn't mind if it was hit scan. I Here's the thing, like you give me the Halo 2 or the Halo 3 BR, and I'll use either of them. I think they're both great. Um, Whatever they decide to do with that is fine. Just make it consistent and make it good and have a good netcode. I think the biggest flaw of Halo 3 was the netcode, especially MCC, man. Like the bloodshots and stuff. Like, if you're doing everything right and you're still not getting the registration, that's the issue. It's not how the gun works to me.
Okay. Nothing mechanical or gameplay related. What are some things that should be in Infinite? Whether it's like we've talked about theater before,
Yeah,
UI, things like that. Nothing
yeah,
related to the actual gameplay.
yeah. Theater 100%. There was it's a little different now. That might have been so cool back in 2007, 2008 because there wasn't YouTube was around, but there wasn't a lot of gameplay up there. There wasn't a way to watch stuff with your friends. There's less content creators. It was just like harder to find stuff on it. So downloading it in game and watching it in game was really cool. But I remember like loving theater, and it was a cool way to like going on the pro players file shares, downloading their games, studying it. Like that was fun, and it was a cool feature, and I don't see why that should get removed. It also makes content for content creators a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
You could do all kinds of cool camera angles and intros, and we've seen all the epic montages and stuff. Um, so I would like to see theater back in. A clean UI is good. Like I said, Halo 3 I think had the best, like the most vibrant colors, the best UI. Um, Obviously, if you're putting this thing out on PC, you need to have some good like some solid FOV settings and stuff. But which they're doing, which is awesome. What else is kind of stuff that just makes gaming a little better. I like really like fine tuning mouse controls. So I think like sensitivity adjustments, like just like 0.5, 0.7, all that kind of stuff, like real nitty gritty with it
Mm-hmm.
is important to me. Uh, yeah, just be able to turn off all the bullshit so you can push frames if that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just make it a solid PC title with all the options and stuff, which I think they're working towards. And then just add theater and make a nice simple UI that looks good and is easy to read, and yeah.
Okay. What are your true expectations of Halo Infinite?
Uh, yeah, I'm not putting any eggs in the basket. Unfortunately, I really want to. I know this is supposed to be kind of like a unbiased thing, but you know how much I love Halo, and
I do.
how I have given a lot of ambition and hope to the series. Even I played Halo 4 a lot. I played Halo 5 a good amount. Um, I always try them, but they started with Reach and it really went downhill there, in my opinion, and then it just hasn't picked up any steam or anything that has made me want to come play the newer games again. I've actually been reverting and playing the older games because the games that I didn't really enjoy, because I just want my fix of Halo, because I think it's, in my opinion, one of the best FPS of all time, and there's really a spot for it out there still, especially the older style games. But I have had no reason to be excited for Infinite. There's been nothing that's indicated to me that it's going to be a solid release coming from 343 at the moment.
Okay. Do you think the Halo series could die off if Infinite doesn't reach a certain competitive level, and why?
Yeah, I just think it's beating a dead horse at this point. Sadly, I think that there's a lot of players still out there. There's people on Halo 2 Cartographer. There's people playing Halo 1 land. Like there's people landing Halo 1 still. There's people that love this game, dude. Like people love this game, but it's gonna just sit in the back burner and be a hobby for people that love it and it's niche. You know what I mean? That's what it's
Yeah.
gonna be if it doesn't. If Infinite. Here's the thing: if you put out Halo 3 again on PC and you do it right, or you put out Halo 2 on PC and you do it right, and you start putting money to that, I could see people going back and playing that. I think those are great games. But is it past its prime? Is it too far? I don't know. Maybe, but those are great competitive games, and I think that's what people are really looking for. I'm actually more hopeful for Halo 2 and 3 to come out than I am for Infinite. Because I think that those games, I know those games are good, and I think those are what could save it. But yeah, I think it could very well, you know, kill off a lot of people's urge to want to keep playing the series at all.
Okay. What part of playing a new Halo game is most important to you?
Um, like just like overall with the whole game.
So, let's say you download the new game and you're
Hmm.
playing it. What is the first thing that you're looking for? Because that's obviously the most important thing to you because it's what you're
Yeah,
doing first. So,
yeah.
what is the most important thing to you?
Like as soon as I load up Infinite, right? When I get
Yeah.
it, I'm gonna go to matchmaking. I'm gonna see what playlists there are. I'm gonna jump into a game, and then I'm gonna look for what weapons, like how is this working? Are there gonna be loadouts, or am I gonna just have a weapon? Like it's just gonna be spawn and go, which is what I think it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's gonna just immediately like how does this weapon work? How does the movement work? And how do the shots register? Those are
Okay.
kind of the first things that I'm gonna look for.
Okay. Would you like to see Halo branch into more genres of games? If so, which?
Um, no, man. I love it for what it is. I think I love FPS games. I just don't play too many different ones because I don't. I'm not much of a tactical shooter guy. I'm not much of a CS player or Rainbow player. Um, the pacing of like Quake and stuff is a little beyond me, and I've never really given it a fair chance to be honest. But just never got into it. Like Halo is kind of my thing, and like when I say I love FPS games, I'm mostly saying I love Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for me, I don't think they need to. And I don't think it's going to do anything for them. I mean, you could try to do a Halo Wars and get the StarCraft RTS community, but whatever to me. That doesn't matter to me.
What if they
Type of
were to
thing.
get into something like a MOBA or something?
Um, you could try, man, but Riot is a good company that's done a lot of things right, and I don't know if they're gonna go down for a while. They're kind of the Twitch of gaming. You know what I mean? Like, where else are you gonna live stream your games? What other MOBA are you gonna play really right now?
Well,
You know what I mean? Like,
you could argue that Valve has Dota 2, which is just as playable in
yeah,
mostly
and
non-US countries
yeah,
in Europe.
you can, but you look at the whole like stats, like the numbers of like total players and stuff. It's crazy.
Because
It's crazy.
technically
What
speaking, Dota does have the highest payout
Yeah, and it does because Valve is just is smart about
because
putting
they
money
do have
behind it.
one major a year. So there is
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm. Because and Valve is really smart about putting money behind their games, and that's kind of when I'm looking at like successful games. I'm looking at Valve. I'm looking at CS. I'm looking at Dota, who puts a lot of money behind the tournaments. How old is Dota 2? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you don't need a new game. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't need. You could do this on Halo 2. You just need a company that puts out a solid game that works and then endorses it.
But if
In
you
my
could do it with
right.
Halo 2, do you how would you get new fans interested? Because like you and I are millennials, so how would you get a Generation
Yeah,
Z
and that's
kid
kind of what
into it?
I was trying to hit at earlier when you said what are three things they need to add, and that's they need to break into that market. I don't know how. I mean, I'm just a player, right? I don't have the marketing degree for this stuff, but um, that's why I think Infinite needs to be. Uh, Infinite has to be a good game, and it needs to follow the old Halo guidelines to be a good game because that's what we know are good Halos. And then they need to figure out how to market it. But I don't know, man. Like you could also get people if you get people like Summit or Shroud or whoever playing Halo because I'm sure like those guys love that shit. I'm sure. I know at least Summit like loves Halo. Uh, like how's that not gonna get more younger kids into it that are watching him?
Yeah, I mean, I think that actually leads into another question I have for you, which I can actually go ahead and ask you.
Mm-hmm.
How important are the streamers to the success of any game?
So they're not, in my opinion, they're not the ones that are making or breaking games.
Sure.
But they like big streamers like that are a gold mine for marketing, dude. Like,
Hmm.
uh, they can really make it shit take off. Um, I think Valorant right now is we're as of this recording, it's beta just has been out for less than a week,
He's
and
still at 1 million viewers.
still at a million viewers. Summit's still pulling 200K viewers plus.
Yeah. And
Um,
let's also note that uh, we're seeing an influx of viewers for Valorant because of the beta key drop. So we are seeing that, but it's
yeah,
also a
same
new
here.
FPS game, and I think a lot of people are really liking it. I
Yeah,
think people I think people with Valorant specifically, um, people are looking to play a new game that's similar to CS, but they're bored of CS because it's been out for so long. So
hmm
that's
I
also
mean,
fair for that to say.
you're looking at a small team competitive format. We're looking at,
Yeah.
if you're just saying that on paper, you're looking at a game like Halo or CS, right? Like they're
Mm-hmm.
very different genres, but
Yeah.
that's what you're looking at. And is Valorant changing the gaming world with any other ideas? No, but it's a solid company promising great connection and great hit registration and updates and tweaks and hot fixes and they're you got all these streamers helping them out, spread the word, and it's killing it. So
Well, they are changing it in the ways of it's the first game with natural 128 tick servers. So
yeah,
so
that's
you
what I'm
could
saying. Yeah,
argue
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's they're doing it right. Like they're launching this game right,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I think that streamers are very important because they're the ones that are going to give feedback, and people are going to listen to them, and people love them. People subscribe to them literally. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm. Sure.
they're like the best marketing tool, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
you find somebody that loves FPS games, that loves playing that shit. You get them to play Halo, and you're gonna start to grow a community.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, Halo has a good foundation already. It's not like it's a new game coming out.
Sure. Yeah.
So you need to expand, but you have people that love it and they're passionate, and you get somebody big
Mm.
to play it, and you get new people to come on, and you know what I mean?
Because this isn't about me, but in my opinion, I feel as if our job as millennials that grew up on Halo, I didn't play Halo 1 or 2 before 3, but our job as people that liked Halo 3 is we need to we complain a lot about, shit in Halo 3 and, ghost melees. For some reason I get them more than anyone, it feels like. Um I feel like it's my job to, when I'm playing with someone who is new to Halo or is 5-10 years younger than me, I feel like it's important to mention Halo as one of those titles that kind of shaped how Xbox 360 even became the biggest platform at that time. Like Halo is such a big influence, and I don't want to say arena shooters because it's like a pseudo arena shooter, but I mean, it really is. It's just a slow paced arena shooter,
Yeah, it
and
leans that way.
I feel like it's important to us for that, or to do that. But how do you bring in kids that are in their teens now?
Yep, I mean, yeah,
Like that's kind of the question I feel like is
and
most
it's tough.
important.
It's tough. I think that is a hard it is a hard task. But I think that we're also like looking at like kind of the best time to try to do that, man. Like I can promise you that there are 10-year-old kids out there that weren't even born when Halo 3 was released that know what Halo 3 is, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like Halo is iconic, right? Like Halo is like you said, it shaped a platform. It shaped so many things, and you could argue that it helped be the proponent of competitive gaming and my like esports. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Halo 3 MLG was peak, uh, like like that like in 2008 2009. That shit was huge for the time.
Yeah.
It was bigger than everything pretty much.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? And it's to see it take that like seventh place spot now is really sad or whatever. But it really transformed a lot of stuff. It was a huge game. People know it. People like respect it. Like it did a lot good, and I don't see why it couldn't do a come. I mean, if people think that it's like you need new, then they're wrong because there's been 3 Counter Strike games since like 98, 99, whenever 1.6 came out.
Yeah, you've had 1.6
Source.
Source and CS:GO. Yeah.
So it's not new. People aren't looking for a Dota 3. Nobody's
Right.
asking for that. Nobody's asking for League of Legends 2. Do you know what I mean?
And we actually saw what happens to CS if you release a bad one. People will just go back to the old one.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, how many maps would you like to see in rotation for the competitive scene in Halo? Because
So I will
in
say,
CS, I just want to kind of brief this a little bit. In CS, you have a constant rotation of, I believe it's 7 maps, and then each team ban, and then you play, your best of
Yep.
one.
Yep.
Former Halos, you've had what, 7 or 8 maps, and then
Mm-hmm.
in Overwatch, there's, dude, I don't even know, too many.
Yeah.
So, what do you
I
think
I
is good for Halo?
I think that Halo and I think CS even too. I think a lot of those games need more. Um, Halo is nice because you can play like Here's the thing that's like weird about it is like best of 5 series or best of 7 if it's the finals, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could play Pit twice, but you play Pit Slayer, you play Pit Flag, and they're so different, like how you play that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same map. I think like 12, 13, 14 is a good number. That's a lot to ask for out of the box. But
Mm-hmm.
I also think that adding content to the game helps extend its life and relevance.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that CS does updates all the time, right? There's a reason that you don't need a League of Legends 2, like I said earlier, because you could just add champions. You
Right.
need to make a game that people can download and keep it for 10 years almost. Not literally, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, so I think like if you're looking at like peak maps, in a competitive thing, I think like 12 to 14 maps would be nice. Especially with Halo with all the different game modes, everything's going to kind of feel fresh then.
Okay. Would you like to see a league with Halo, or would you rather see individual events, such as the
Um,
Overwatch League versus how CS does it, and they have their own little uh, off? I don't want to say off-brand, but like ESL, and then they have their majors, and then they have whatever
yeah.
else.
I mean, like I said, Halo MLG was like a thing. That's kind of like a league, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
I
But
think
would
that
you
was a
rather
cool
see
format.
more of those leagues, like let's say like give the Canadian Baseball League and the
Yeah,
MLB, and then you have the Japanese like, would you rather see that, or would you rather see like just individual events?
probably leagues. I thought it was a cool way to like, and it still is. Um, I don't know, man, but you can get your name out there. It honestly that doesn't matter to me as much as long as the game's successful and there's events in it. Like that's what matters to me. So
Right.
how those went about would just whatever. However people want to do that, man. Like go for it. I think leagues are cool because it's innately a little more competitive because you're trying to climb a ladder, like literally. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like I like that, but I also like Halo ranking system because you're grinding for a level, right? Like you get to
Mm-hmm.
50, and it's just like, damn, I did that. I climbed all that. So that's cool, but I think events are like just doing events is fine too. Like just here's an event, and that's kind of what they're doing now, and that's working well.
Yeah.
So well enough, I guess. Not really that good.
Okay. My last question. I feel like this is a big one because we've talked about
Mm-hmm.
this a lot. What are 3 things you don't want to see in the Infinite? And three
Uh,
most important things you don't want to see.
um, yeah, I don't want to see any sprint or armor abilities at all. Did we go over this already?
I asked you what you wanted to see in it.
Okay,
In it.
so okay, what I wanted to see was the removal. Okay,
Yeah. So
oh god,
you've actually already mentioned that you don't like sprint, so we can disregard that. I'm talking specifics, like what's something that you don't want to see.
um,
I don't think you mentioned armor
God,
abilities, so that one can count.
yeah,
But what are 2 other
yeah.
things that you haven't mentioned?
I mean, so it's like so much, but it's like hard. It's like hard to like. Okay, I just don't want to see um like fuck man. I'm trying to like
It's tough because you're thinking
formulate.
about all
Yeah,
the other games.
yeah. It's a lot. I'm trying to think of like what I really hated about some of the games. I don't want to see Bloom. I don't want to
Okay.
see like any RNG and spray pattern. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Okay. Let me take that back. Let me reel that back. I don't mind the Halo 3 BR, but I don't want to see Bloom. Yeah, Bloom's bad.
Okay.
Um, if you shoot, you should know where the bullets are gonna go,
Okay.
type of thing. Um, even if that's projectile. I don't want to see any sort of armor ability. I don't want to see any sort of clamber. I don't want to see any sort of float from Halo 5. I don't. We don't need all like the simple pure movement is great because then if you perfect it, you're a good player, and if you don't, you're not.
Sure.
That's it. Like that. I just want to see it stripped down to what it is. So I mean, think of anything from Reach to 5, right? Like I don't want to see ADS on the pistol like that. You know what I mean? If
Mm-hmm.
there's a scope on a gun, you can zoom in on it. Otherwise, no. I
Okay.
don't want to see like a red dot. You know what I mean? Type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't want to see what else is there in all these other games that just didn't cut it.
Think about
God, I
the
feel like I
games
have
you dislike. It's probably the best way to think about it.
yeah, like outside of Halo or
No,
just Halo games I dislike. Yeah,
just
yeah,
in
yeah,
Halo specifically
yeah, yeah.
because like you don't like Reach, you don't like 4, and you're not a big fan of 5. Think about what you don't like about those games that you don't want to see in Infinite.
Yeah, let me think here. Let's go with Reach. I mean, loadout's terrible. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Bloom bad. Armor abilities no. Um, the melee system of Reach is terrible. I don't want to see a bad melee system.
Okay.
I
That's a
thought
good
I
one.
thought both I thought both 2 and 3 they were very different, but they were both like good for Halo melee systems.
Okay.
Um, Halo 4 had like sprint. They had the fucking was it Halo Reach or Halo 4 that had the ordinances. Those were terrible.
I want to say 4.
Uh, none of that. I just none of that like cheesy um like filler almost it feels like
Right.
for the game. Um, I feel like you have something that you're trying to pry out of me, and I'm trying to think of what it is.
I'm not trying to pry anything.
No, yeah, you're good. You're good. I know we've talked about this a lot, and I feel like there's something I'm missing.
Because you and I have ranted about Halo 4 and 5 and Region a lot, and
Yeah,
I just feel like there's a lot to hate.
yeah. I mean, I think like some other small stuff is like Halo 2 and 3 had a very, I mean, they're a little different, but they had like the flag juggling system that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But I don't remember that being great in any other Halo. Like it didn't feel great, at least. Um, so that it would be nice to see that kind of come back to what it was.
Okay.
I think Reaches was okay. But like Halo 5, you could like shoot your pistol while you were carrying the flag. It was like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just pull from one, 2, and 3. There's great things in those games. You don't need to go over the top. You don't need all this extra stuff. So just remove it. That's what I would remove. Is all the fat. Just get rid of all the fat.
Okay. I actually have one more question that I just thought of, and I think it's actually a good one.
Yeah.
Because it makes you think about the games that you love in sort of a negative light, which is hard to do. What things from Halo 1, 2, and 3 do you not want to see?
Okay, I can do this. Halo 1 had a crazy big grenade and rocket radius.
Okay.
Um, maybe it's just me getting tilted, but I think that was like it was almost like the nades were just too powerful. Like you could just throw nades in that game, and it's crazy like the shit that happens.
Okay.
I would like to see they remove that, which they I guess did technically, but cool. Halo 2. Okay, this might be an unpopular opinion, but the melee system's a bit wonky when people are strafing you and you melee at them. It didn't like lock on, and you would shoot past them, and it was like it almost felt like RNG with the melee system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you hit like a BXB or a BXR, awesome. That shit was like that took skill, but there's a lot of like canceling out or like floating above and under each other
Yeah.
in a melee fight. I did not like that too much. I'm not a huge fan of that system.
Okay. Now give me one thing from Halo 3 that you don't
Halo
want to see.
3. Um, God, my dearly beloved.
I know what your answer should be, but I doubt it is.
I know what you want me to answer is the VR.
No. I actually, because I don't think I've ever said this to anyone, especially our buddy Hustler, is that I don't think the Halo 3 BR is that bad. I think Halo 3 is just bad in 60 FPS. That's all I think.
Oh yeah. I guess if we're talking about
because the melees are just as bad as the BR. It feels like.
Yeah.
So.
If I had to pull one thing from the game though, that's tough, man. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the melee system felt good in that game. The guns felt good in that game. I like the weapon drop system, so I wouldn't pull that out. Um,
I actually expected you to talk about that more.
you know what? I would actually, thinking back, that might be what I would pull from Halo 2 before melee system
What
at
the
all.
dynamic
The
timers?
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I really like the Halo 1 and 3 style of like
knowing when
it's gonna
shit's
be
gonna
up. It's
spawn.
gonna be up now. Yeah, I think that actually is more important to me. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure.
Okay.
I would pull that. Let me
So
change my
you
answer
would
on that.
pull the Halo 2 dynamic spawns when you pick it
Yeah,
up and
yeah.
then you drop it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Um,
You and Hustler have that in common.
I don't know what from Halo 3, man. I sound like such a fucking fanboy, but I just think it's a damn near perfect game. Apart from like I said, like some upgrades it could use infrastructure wise, but I I don't know, man. Fuck the Spartan laser, I guess. Like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I don't really like in a competitive sense. It's pretty good, man. I can't think of anything right now that's like jarring enough for me to call it out. What were you thinking?
I would pull all
I
the Foundry maps
yeah, but again, that's
because
infrastructure. But that's infrastructure stuff.
yeah, because of how the Foundry maps work,
Yeah.
and also in my opinion, if you're gonna have a game competitively, you should have enough maps to support that and not rely on creators of maps, like
Yes.
of custom maps. Personally,
Yes. I mean,
that's how I feel, but that's coming
that's
from a CS perspective.
that's more of an issue in Reach, in my opinion. First off, and second off, again, that's infrastructural stuff, man. Like I think if that game, because I those shots did not register on those maps as well because there was like you had to like do all these glitches, remember, to like get the boxes to like stack that way and shit.
Right.
Uh, it was like pushing the game. But if the game could support it, I had no problem with Amplified. I had no problem with Onslaught. I think they're cool maps.
But
Now,
also, you and I had many discussions on whether or not that Onslaught and Amplified and the old map that we played like 4 times, Lockdown,
yep, yep.
we had hours of discussion about whether or not it makes your input lag higher, because there's so many objects that maybe shouldn't be there,
Yeah.
and I always complained, and by complaining I mean bitch, that my aim was worse on those maps because of that, and because I am very sensitive to input delay, and it's one reason I don't play on console anymore. But
Yeah, I thought they were great. They were cool maps, and it was cool that they were, created or whatever, and they got put
would
into
you
like a.
rather play the pit or Onslaught?
Yeah, I mean the pit all day, right?
Exactly. Now why do you feel like you would rather play the pit or Narrows or Construct versus Amplified or Onslaught?
They were just better maps, man. Like when it comes down to it, they were just better maps, and they they had snipers, they had fucking
Mhm.
rockets, they had timers. You know what I mean? They were
Would you
just a little
rather play
more
Warlock or Amplified?
warlock. Yeah, I
Warlock
mean I don't know why.
or
So I do have this like. I get what you're saying about the Foundry maps. It just feels so much less. It feels like detached from the game almost when you're playing it, because you're just like, oh, it's like everything's all green. Like it's all this. They all look the same, kind of. Nothing feels
yeah,
unique about them.
they
Um,
so for me, I always felt as if they looked dull. On top of, I don't understand why the developer, being Bungie at that time, couldn't make more maps like that were
yeah,
good. Like they added midship, and then midship became a competitive map again, which
yep.
is fine. But like, why couldn't they take a map, just say like assembly, right? Like assembly
Hmm.
wasn't the worst map, but also at the same time, why couldn't you take that like that map number and make that a new good competitive map? Like I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
get it.
here's the thing is that maybe they tried. Assembly. When it came out, I remember it was like, oh, there's potential here, but then it just didn't play. It just didn't play
It
good.
looked like an off-brand midship.
Yeah, yeah. It looked like Zealot or whatever from Reach, right?
Yep.
Like it just looked like like an off-brand midship. Like it's another Covenant ship map, cool, whatever. It's symmetrical, might work, but it just didn't play good. They just yeah, maybe they tried. But yeah, I mean, I didn't mind the Foundry maps. I would like them better if everything was the FPS was better and the shots were better. Obviously, I actually think I'd have no problems with them then.
Interesting. Well, that's all the questions I have.
All right. Well, thanks for asking me.
I appreciate you doing this with me though.
Mm-hmm. Of course, buddy.
Do you have anything you want to plug?
I do stream on Twitch. I don't stream Halo too much anymore, but as Halo 2 and 3 come out, I will. It's twitch.tv/5HAME. So Shane, but with a 5. That's pretty much it for gaming stuff.
All right. Well,
Which is all that people care
appreciate it,
about.
bud.
Yeah, thanks, man.